Hey everybody, welcome back to Vegas Tips and Tricks. It seems like a long time since I've been just sitting here doing a regular Vegas Tips and Tricks show. Had a little brief chat with you all last week, but back from Vegas. Seems like the last several weeks after getting back from Vegas have been very hectic around here. But we got through all the vlogs and with one exception through the room videos. So we're going to talk about three things here today. First, I'm going to touch on some Las Vegas news items. Second, some general impressions as well as a few specific tips that I picked up on my last trip, like 3 weeks ago. And then finally, some information about Vegas tips and tricks and what's ahead over the next couple of months. So if you're interested in that, you'll want to make sure you stay tuned all the way to the end while I scratch my nose. I can do that again. There you go. Hey, this morning, and it's morning, still, very lazy, drinking out of my Stardust coffee mug. That's certainly a tip that I could use later, but hey, go make sure you check out the Neon Museum gift shop. You can get all this cool stuff like the picture I have behind me of the Rat Pack, and I could have spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars there. There's my plug, not sponsored. Anyway, it's been, not to make light of it too much, a shaky couple of days in Las Vegas. I can't recall, perhaps some of you can, an incident where there have been multiple earthquakes felt in Las Vegas. I suspect, like many people there now, that I would have freaked out if I was sitting on my room in the 53rd floor of the Aria and suddenly the room begins to move of its own accord. Well, we would have help, but I actually saw some video this morning someone posted up on Facebook. They were at the Venetian and one of the chandeliers was just quite aggressively going back and forth. So hopefully, to my understanding, there's been no injuries or serious significant damage anywhere in the Las Vegas area, but if you're there, our thoughts are with you. Hopefully the shakiness has passed. And that makes a nice transition because for the last several years, the then SLS has been on shaky ground. It was a clever idea to spiff the place back up, open it up as a kind of fun nightclub, hip, young place with great restaurants and just kind of a fun sort of industrial vibe. I kind of liked it, but I think they did a really poor job of player development. I stayed there once, played a fair amount, basically never got a decent room offer to go back. I think they overvalued their rooms, which were fine, but they weren't great. And, you know, it's just not a great location. It's not going to be a great location now either, now that it's once again called the Sahara. Okay? You know, hey, if you're driving a car, it's a nice place to get easy in, easy out to all different parts of the Las Vegas Valley. If you're attending a convention, you can just jump on the monorail and you're there in no time. If you like using the monorail, you've got a stop that's very close to the hotel proper, but it's just kind of isolated. The only thing that's more or less within walking distance is the Stratosphere. And so, while I wish the new owners of the Sahara much luck with the changes that they're making to the property, I've not been down there in a couple of trips. I'm not sure exactly what it looks like, but I hope that they're successful. But like I said, you still have the problem of location. You know, maybe if the Fontainebleau Drew would open up one of these days. Maybe if you could get the Resorts World finished. But there's just not much around there. And I have a feeling that the only way you're really going to be able to compete there is on price. You know, low cost. And I don't know how willing a brand new investor is going to be to lower room rates. So we'll see. But the biggest story in Las Vegas hotels and casinos in the last month has been the acquisition of Caesars Entertainment by Eldorado Resorts. And you may go, who? What? Well, you may if you've never visited Reno, Nevada, a lovely little town that makes downtown Las Vegas look, well, kind of classy. But downtown Reno has 4 or 5 hotels, 3 of which are owned by Eldorado Resorts, including their flagship property, the Eldorado, the Silver Legacy, which they built about 20 some odd years ago, with the assistance of Circus Circus at the time, and they also now own the Circus Circus Hotel there in Reno. They also own a couple of dozen properties around the country, including one in Kansas City that I visited. And I've been in the El Dorado and the Silver Legacy. They were nice enough. I can't say I'm impressed with the quality of their property in Kansas City. It's kind of a little run down, the Isle de Capri. So just make a couple of points on this. First off, this is not completely finalized yet, and it's not likely to completely finalize until sometime early to mid-2020. I do not think you have anything to worry about in terms of any significant changes to your hotel reservations or to the resorts proper, well into the future. Second of all, this is more of a kind of merger than an acquisition. El Dorado's CEO and their board will basically run the company, so that we don't know. They can make a lot of changes, and going forward. But they're gonna still call themselves Caesars because that's the most well-known name. They're going to use the Caesars Reward Players Club and ultimately incorporate the folks in their original Players Club into that. Of course, they may make some changes there. I'm sure they'll make some changes. That always happens. And the other thing that it seems likely to happen based on the comments from the CEO of El Dorado is they're likely to unload maybe one or two of the Caesars Strip properties. And we've talked about Caesars trying to get rid of the Rio for years, overvaluing it, and little by little it's deteriorated, so it's worth even less now. It's hard to see someone buying that property and doing anything with it other than tearing the hotel down, which is sad. But that's not on the Strip anyway. They might unload that, but they've talked about the Strip specifically, that sort of miracle mile and a half of nothing but Caesars properties. The couple of the targets that stand out because they're not quite as connected would be Planet Hollywood, which was the last hotel resort that Caesars purchased there. It's kind of separate, it's got the Miracle Mile shops there. It's not connected to any of the other properties. It's got kind of a fun vibe to it, so it might be a desirable acquisition, and it still keeps that sort of run of casinos in place. The other one that comes to mind possibly is the Cromwell, kind of a boutique property, very different sort of vibe and feel than the properties around it. The people that stay at the Cromwell are not going to be very much like the people that stay at Flamingo or Bally's on either side. It would be difficult to move Bally's or Paris because they're connected, literally, so I would be surprised to see them be a possible sale. I would also think that Link and Flamingo would be very safe because of the investment in the promenade and what they've done there. Harrah's is an interesting possibility, a two-prong interesting possibility, because you're talking about a company that originally started as Harrah's, started in Reno. There's a Harrah's in downtown Reno. Is El Dorado going to want essentially all four of the largest hotels in downtown Reno? Could they move Harrah's? Could they move the Harrah's in Las Vegas? It's not directly connected to the other properties. That would be pretty interesting if they unloaded the Harrah's name, because that had been so identified with that chain of hotels for years and years. So, but like I said, don't panic. Even if some of these hotels are spun off or sold off, they're going to acquire the player data. If you've been getting free rooms at Planet Hollywood, you're probably going to continue to get offers from Planet Hollywood. You'll just won't be connected to Caesars Rewards anymore. Kind of sad. So anyway, that's the news. I don't usually do a lot of news, but I thought those were a couple of topics worth addressing. The second thing I want to talk about a little bit about the trip. Good trip, great weather, had a good time, all too short. It did feel like I was rushing around quite a bit. Obviously, when staying at 3 hotels in 5 days, and one of them downtown. That was a bit of a logistical, I won't say nightmare, but definitely takes some time out of your experiences there. But I was glad I was able to do it. I was happy that I was able to show you the hotels. We'll show you the downtown ground video this Wednesday. That's coming up. Yeah, it was a fun trip. Got to eat at several places that I've been wanting to check out, including the 2 Gordon Ramsay spots. Ate at the Cosmo, checked out 550 Pizza, and was still able to return to a few places that I had enjoyed on previous trips. So saw a couple of shows, including going out to the Neon Museum and seeing Shimmer, which was fun. Next time that I go out there, and there will be a next time, I want to do the guided tour. I think that would be even more interesting for me. Loved the paranormal show at Bally's. I think I've already made that point, but highly recommended. And then saw the Anthony Cool's hypnosis show at Paris. That's fun. It's fun. It's a little, it's a little bawdy, but this is Las Vegas, so it's interesting. Overall, the city was pretty busy over the weekend. I've never seen, and I guess possibly because it was June, I've never seen so many bachelor and bachelorette parties hopping around the Strip. They weren't particularly misbehaving, but you could clearly tell what was going on. I guess a lot of June weddings, so I guess you have a lot of June bachelor and bachelorette parties. On a positive note, and I'm noticing this, almost the entire trip, I've never seen so few people smoking in Las Vegas. I can only recall one instance the entire trip where there was someone sitting near me and I was somewhat irritated by the smoke. You just don't see it. You don't smell it. So I think that's a positive, I think, for most of us. I did notice, of course, that you smell more of the ganja smoke. Yeah, so there's a lot of people surreptitiously or not so surreptitiously smoking the marijuana, which of course is legal, but it's not really legal to consume it in the tourist areas. People are doing it, and as I say, they're working on creating these marijuana lounges, which should come online also probably by next year. But you're still going to see it, and you're going to from time to time smell it, usually on those pedestrian walkways. Overall, the gambling was fine. I mean, it's up and down. You're just happy if you get a few decent hits to sort of save yourself. Probably didn't play as much on this trip. Certainly didn't play as much at Caesars on this trip, and it was reflected when I came back. I don't have nearly as many weekend free nights there. So again, over time, if your play declines, we've talked about, your offers are going to decline a little bit. So anyway. So that was Las Vegas. It looks like now we're going to be headed back sometime in September for a few nights. I've got to try to hit up what I think we call the Social Media Summit. This would be number 2. That's in mid-September. We'll talk more about that if any of you are interested in attending as we get closer to those dates. There are going to be some changes to Vegas tips and tricks over the next couple of months. As I said, on this next Wednesday, we will have the room video from the Downtown Grand. And after that, with some possible exceptions here and there, if I acquire some footage or I think there's something interesting that I can do with the older footage, but for probably the next couple of months, we are going to go to a once-weekly broadcast. I see no purpose in showing you a bunch of rehash of Las Vegas that most of you, particularly if you've watched the vlogs, have already seen. I think that my time and your time can be better used. In lieu of our regular Wednesday broadcast, I'm going to go back to the much neglected website, and at least once a week on a Wednesday, I'm going to produce a new hotel profile. I did 3 or 4 of these earlier in the year. I liked them. I thought they were some of the best things that I've written, and I thought they gave a pretty good impression of the property in question. So on Wednesdays going forward, not this Wednesday, but following Wednesdays, you can check the website for a new hotel profile. Secondly, I'm going to try to do a little bit better job of prepping this broadcast and incorporating the blog into it, also much neglected, by using the blog to kind of reinforce what we talk about here on Saturday, give you some kind of a general outline, some of the news and notes, possibly some links if they're meaningful. And So that's what we're going to be focused on. Otherwise, you know, continuing to see some nice growth in the subscriber base. Certainly our Twitter followers, our Facebook group is growing. You can access all of that information down below on the page. Also wanted to shout out a website today, or a YouTube channel today. I talked about doing this in the past. I'm going to send you a link to Matrix 2021. This is Kevin's channel. Kevin is another one of these fabulous people from the UK, and he has done now, I think, 3 vlogs, or not 3 vlogs, 3 videos as part of a vlog in Las Vegas, and they are really funny. I recommend that you check out his channel and subscribe to his channel, and again, I'll put a link to that right below this video. You will also notice that for the first time ever, I've posted a link to our PayPal account. I have never asked for money, nor do I expect any of you to give me money. But there have been people from time to time who've suggested a desire to support the channel. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do that. You're welcome to donate. If you donate anything, I will make sure to shout you out on the broadcast, unless you ask me not to. And that money, if any, will go into trying to improve the quality of this broadcast, whether that be improved audio or video or editing, or towards some Vegas experiences that people have asked me about, an opportunity perhaps to check some of those things out that I wouldn't otherwise. Another opportunity, which I'll once again let you know, if you want to get in touch with my friend, the independent host Paul, also from the UK. Maybe I should move to the UK, I don't know. I don't think I'll be moving, I don't like to move. But if you want to check with him, if you book a room through him and his independent hosting company, Vegas Tips and Tricks gets a little kickback for that. So check that out if you're interested. But again, there's no special content. Everything that I give you is going to be free of charge. So that's just an opportunity if you want to take it. So that's going to wrap up our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, Wednesday, the Downtown Grand video. Next week, we'll be back with budget tips on Las Vegas. How to do Vegas on the cheap or free. So that's what to look forward to next Saturday. Until then, I hope you have a great and lucky week. We will. See you soon.